Hello, everyone. My name is Maxime Sigouin. This podcast was created to help you live your life to your fullest potential. Let me introduce myself. I am a coach, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and the world's #1 whole food, plant-based body recomposition expert. From supporting and losing family members through cancer, including my ex-partner, from sleeping in my car and being $60K in debt, I turned my life around in 1 year and rebuilt myself completely while building multiple successful multi-six-figure companies. Throughout the years, I've built a solid foundation through health and fitness that has allowed me to level up in other areas of my life, including health, relationship, family, and business. Through those ventures, I've been able to help over 600 people from around the world completely level up their mindset and get in best shape of their life on a plant-based lifestyle. I wish this podcast to be of service on your journey. Enjoy the episode. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Maxime Sigouin podcast. Today, I'm joined by my business partner, Justin the Dragon. How you doing, man?
Doing super good, brother. It's good to have you here with us in Santa Cruz County.
Yes, I'm happy we made it down, made it across the border.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just had an awesome workout together. Went for some sushi.
Super good.
Yeah, a lot of sushi. You definitely ate way more than I thought you would be able to eat.
People are surprised at how much I can eat, but it's one of the reasons I'm called the Dragon.
Awesome. So for the people listening, again, this is a new show. This is episode 3. And so I started this podcast because I want to be able to talk about various other subjects outside of just plant-based nutrition and fitness. And so Justin and I together co-founded Fit Rich Vegan, which we rebranded the Fit Rich Life. And we can dive a little bit deeper into that later on. But the whole basics of the program is to help you get fit and get a handle on your money, right? Pay off your debt, increase your net worth, increase your earning capacity.
Yep.
And so what I want to do today is kind of talk about Justin's story and how he got to the position where he's in now, where he is financially free. He got out of, I think, 80K in debt.
Yep.
Yeah. So how he got out of debt, put himself in a position to be financially free. Some of the strategies that he's used, the mindset shift that he's had to go through. So let's just dive into it, man. Like, how did this whole journey start for you of like, I want to be financially free?
It really started in my childhood. So growing up, money was like really tough. Like it was the thing that caused the most stress, I would say, in my family, between my parents, as well as just for me. Like, I still vividly remember being like afraid to ask for new soccer shoes.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like want to stress my parents out about like having to like purchase me shoes. And we weren't like, living on the streets, but it was like I was on the free lunch program at school. And, so my childhood dream was to like be rich, because that would solve all my problems.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
We can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. So that's really kind of the original genesis of this desire to be financially free, or kind of like in my mind, I wanted to be a millionaire so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to be rich. And, when I was growing up, that really kind of looked like me, like looking like I was rich. But I, wasn't rich. Like I would, buy the nice clothes and drive the nice car. And that kind of same pattern stayed with me for much of my life, honestly, all the way through until my early 30s. Like I was all about really looking wealthy versus actually being wealthy. And this was really exacerbated when I ended up working in Hollywood nightlife. The nightclub business of all places.
Yeah.
Because in Hollywood, and especially in the nightclub business, all about like, looking like rich and, awesome and like everything's good. But the funny thing about that is like so many of those people, not all of them, but many of them, myself included, like we looked rich, but we were fucking broke. Because like all of our money was going into the like nice condo that we rented, the nice Range Rover we drove, like we ate every meal out at a fancy restaurant. And it was basically, we spent everything that we made and more.
Yeah.
So just pushing ourselves into debt to look like we were rich.
So question for you. So we kind of have a same brought up. We talked about this before off podcast. So, there's a chunk of people where they they try to live it so that they can attract it.
Mm.
And some people will like fake it more from like let's say more than an ego aspect. I think it's like it's pretty intense to say that, but more of like an ego, like I want to look rich,
Yeah.
versus I'm gonna act and buy these things so that I can like attract it one day. Which one was it more for you as you
So
kind of
for
like grew up with
me, it
that?
was more about, and I don't mind. I would never say this back then, but now I'm happy to admit it. For me, I just wanted people to think I was rich. I didn't care like that I wasn't rich. I just wanted people to like. I mean, I cared, but I was more concerned about other people thinking that I was rich and like playing that part, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't like I was trying to attract being rich by like, like faking it until I was making it. I was
Yeah.
more like, I just want to like everyone to think I'm rich because I want to be rich so bad. Because like then I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll say you're not alone in the boat. See, like
Yeah.
it's just you. No,
Yeah.
I did the same
Yeah.
thing for a long time too. So how when was a pivotal point for you? Because you've always wanted that. And
Yeah.
then we talked about like your rock bottom of when things shifted. What was that for you?
Yeah. So basically, there was a kind of defining time in my life towards the end of it was I think November of 2014 if I'm remembering the date right. And during my time in Hollywood, I ended up like racking up debt, and I actually got 6 years behind on my taxes. And like I was so afraid to even look at my money. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like it was like I was in collections and like, you know, credit card debt, school loan debt, 6 years behind on my taxes. And I was just so ashamed because
Hmm.
it was kind of like paradoxical because I was always great at making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like even in Hollywood, I was making like 200-300 grand a year, but I
Yeah.
was like spending it all and more.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I got out of the Hollywood business because what I recognized for myself, and I've gone through this iteration a few times, where I looked around at all the people, the men
Hmm.
specifically in the industry, and I was like, do I want to like be like any of them?
Hmm.
And like the nightclub owners, the top party promoters, those, and I was just like, um many of them had like many great features, but like all the ones that were like good husbands and like good fathers like got out of the business.
Yeah.
And the ones that were fathers and husbands that stayed in the business eventually became bad fathers and bad husbands if they weren't already, because there's just so much temptation. You're
Yeah.
like in a nightclub, like partying all the time. There's like drugs, women, just temptation everywhere. And I was like, okay, I know that literally within the first year or two, I was like, I'm becoming 5 to 10% worse of a person per year,
Hmm.
just because the nature of the business, drugs, alcohol, money, prestige, power, you know, that. And I was like, if I stay in this, I'm gonna be a really shitty person in like 10 years. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like a really shitty person, really, really shitty person in 20 years. And so I was like, okay, I gotta get out of this. And unfortunately, during that time, this comes kind of with the territory as well, is I got like heavily into drugs and alcohol. So specifically, drinking every single day because I worked every day in the nightclub, and that was normal. So I didn't think I had a problem, but I was drinking
Yeah.
7 days a
Just your
week.
environment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Smoking pot 7 days a week, every day, all day, and taking Adderall. Like
Hmm.
it was normal because in that industry, that is normal.
Yeah.
But like, and so the first step for me was getting sober from marijuana, because what I recognized for myself is like I was a late bloomer. I didn't really drink. I didn't get drunk until I was like 19 and living in Spain. I took a gap year before I went to college. And then I don't even think I ever smoked pot until I was like 25.
Hmm.
And I definitely didn't try Adderall until I was like close to, I don't know, probably 26, 27. And so I was doing that all day, every day. But the thing I noticed about marijuana is I was totally functional, but it killed my drive.
Hmm.
And I was always one of the most driven people I knew up until I started smoking pot. And then it was like, basically I watched my whole like career like flatline.
Yeah.
Like I was still making good money, but I stopped going up. Like I got to like 200 to 300 grand, and then I just kind of like flatlined.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting wealthier, and I wasn't getting like healthier or happier. And I was like, okay, the marijuana is keeping me just comfortable enough not to make a change.
Yeah.
And so the first step is I just decided cold turkey to like stop smoking pot. Now I continued to drink and continued to take some Adderall, but just by like getting off the marijuana, I basically within about 2 weeks, I fell into like deep depression, like suicidal depression. Literally was like, I just want to like commit suicide and end this because like I can't make like I can't like I'm ashamed of like who I've become. And ultimately like one of the biggest reasons I was ashamed is actually because I originally stopped out of Stanford University, which was my childhood dream.
Yeah.
Was to go to Stanford University. I got in, not on the first try, and we can talk about that if we want, but on the second try I got in, I went there, and then I almost completed it. And then I was meaning to stop out for just 1 year to kind of go like work and figure out what I want to do next.
Yeah.
And I ended up falling into Hollywood nightlife. And then 8 years later, I still hadn't finished my Stanford degree. So people would find out, like occasionally, I didn't ever talk about it too much in nightlife because it's like, who the hell who goes to Stanford, like goes and works in a nightclub.
Yeah.
But when it would come up, they'd be like, oh, that's awesome. You graduated to Stanford. And I wouldn't lie, but I would say I went to Stanford.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I went to Stanford, but I wouldn't like hidden within that was the white lie that I actually didn't graduate.
Yeah.
And so I was really like, I kind of developed this like inferiority complex, like, oh, I'm not good enough because I didn't actually finish that. Yeah. So I fell into that deep depression because like I've been suppressing like all these different emotions by doing all this like drugs and alcohol and smoking pot. So Carl Jung, like one of the like founding fathers of psychology, he has this saying that depression is Mother Nature's way of resetting the psyche. Mm-hmm. So basically that like 5 years of like, 24/7 like pot smoking. Well, not 24/7 because I couldn't smoke it when I'd sleep, but I probably would have if I could have figured out how to do that. I was like, all those emotions that I've been storing for years had come up for processing. Yeah. Finally. And so
crash course on processing.
Yeah. So I literally was like, if it wasn't for literally my best friend at the time, who's now my wife, and my mom, my dad, and my brothers, who I was able to talk to every day and be super open about like, hey, like, I'm seriously considering like suicide. They were like, I didn't do it because I didn't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
And eventually after about 4 months, it cleared. Like I just had to emote the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like, and then as soon as it cleared up, I was like, I know what I need to do. I need to go back to Stanford and finish my degree.
Yeah.
Because one, that was my childhood dream and I can't leave that incomplete. Like I know that's the next step and I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I know if I go back there, that is the best environment. You talked about environment that I've ever been in, like smartest people I've ever been around, best like hearts, just up to really great things in the world. And I was like, well, I'm going to go reboot my life and like go back there and figure it out. So I left my career in Hollywood, even though super successful on the outside, making lots of money, partying for a living, like, looking like I was living the dream.
Yeah. The Instagram dream life.
Oh, like so many of my friends from like high school, college were like, oh, you just lived the life.
Yeah.
And I'm like secretly like depressed.
Yeah.
So basically when I came back to Stanford at the end of 2013, I had 2 quarters to finish up. And it was a challenging time because basically that was the same time that I found out that my parents, my mom's house was getting foreclosed on. And my dad got diagnosed with prostate cancer. And this is like, as I'm trying to finish the last quarter of Stanford. And I just like, it ended up taking me like an additional quarter or two to get everything completely done. Because it was just so emotionally hard for me. Like I was freaking out. My mom's like going to lose her house. And like, my dad is like, diagnosed with cancer. And so finally finished it, like struggled through that, got it done. And it was at Stanford that I actually met like this, the founder of what would become the founder of a Stanford startup. And that's a whole nother podcast that we can go into if we want at some point. But the short part of that story, before I get to the kind of like money turning point, is like I could have never predicted that I would become a founding team member of a Stanford startup, but that's the kind of stuff that can happen when you change your environment.
Yeah.
Is like there's just like so many possibilities. And, you know, one of the things I always coach around is like, if you want to change your life, change your environment. And this can be literally just change up a room in your house. It can mean move to a new city. It can mean move to a new country, you know, change jobs, like, you know, change your virtual environment. Like what kind of environments are you spending time in online?
Yeah.
All those are super important. So that was like, you know, very good fortune. But at the end of 2014, I was finally cleaning up those back taxes, working with a professional. And as part of the motivation to kind of like continue to go through that process, I had listened to this podcast on the Tim Ferriss podcast with this guy named Mr. Money Mustache. And I was like, as I was like working through my taxes, I was like, and he had like on the podcast, he'd just spoken about money in ways I'd never like what he said made sense, but I'd never thought about it in the ways that he was talking about. And so I was like, I should go look up that guy.
Yeah.
And then I went up and I looked him up, and I stumbled upon this article called The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement. And basically I read through it and it all made perfect sense. Like to me, I was like, oh my God, if I had known this when I was working in Hollywood nightclubs, making like 150 to 300 grand, I would be a fucking millionaire by now. And I would be financially free, financially independent. And that just like lit a fire underneath me. And I was like, well, it's never fucking too late. Like, even though I'm like freaking, I think I was 35 at the time. I can't do the math right. But anyways, I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to like change everything financially. And I went from trying to like look rich to like, I don't fucking care. I want to earn as much money as possible and save as much money, because that's the two sides of the equation. Like the way to get to financial independence, and this is what like in the article he talks about. The way to get to financial independence the fastest is to increase your savings rate as high as possible. So your savings rate is the total amount of money that you keep each month, right? And you can look at it per month, per year, per quarter, whatever. But basically, it's what you earn minus your expenses divided, that number divided by the total amount that you earned. So basically, whatever that percentage is. So if you can actually keep 80 or 90% plus, you can get to financial like independence in like as little as like 2 to 5 years. Now, if you can just keep 50% of it, you'll get there in like 10 to 13 years. But most people in the US have less than a 5% savings rate, and many people have a negative savings rate. This is why they have to work for 60 plus years. And even then, many of them don't have enough money to get through retirement.
The rat race. Ultimately, right? They're spending more, and they're always trying to catch up on paying off the line of credit.
And as they earn more, they spend more. And this is called hedonic adaptation or lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. And so I finally fucking was like, no more lifestyle creep. But I didn't just focus on cutting costs. I focused equally as hard on earning as much as possible.
Which that's a powerful side of the equation.
Because there's only so much like you can like cut costs. But it's where everyone needs to start, because most people have way too much what I like to call financial fat. They're just like spending, they have all these subscriptions, they eat out all the time. They're just like not managing their expenses at all. And they're just carrying all this like extra financial fat that is like, you know, financial expenses fat. And if you just go take a few months and really just get all your expenses aligned with your values, your vision, and your goal, then suddenly you've reduced your expenses, like maybe as much as like cut them down by half or more. And then suddenly by doing that, you have like, let's say you cut your expenses by half, you literally are doubling your savings rate.
Yeah.
Right. With not even changing your earning.
Yeah.
But then you can go work on the earning and you can earn like you can earn almost to like infinity, right? There's people who make multiple millions or even billions
per day.
Yeah, per day, per month, etc. And so a lot of people will stop, they'll go to like getting their like expenses like really cut down, and they'll really go to like a frugal lifestyle.
Yeah.
But they kind of are lax or lazy or don't even focus on earning more. They kind of just are like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'm just the type of person who only can make like 50 grand a year, and I'll just like frugal myself to financial independence.
Yeah.
Where I was like, no, fuck that. I want to do both.
Yeah.
I want to go hard as hell. So for 2 years, I didn't eat out. No joke. Didn't eat out one time, unless I think there's a couple times, but it was paid for by somebody else.
Yeah.
Literally didn't go to the movies. And I still had tons of fun because for me, I made frugality a game.
Yeah.
I was like, let me see how creative and how much fun I can have while I cut my expenses to the bone.
Yeah.
Literally. And it was like a super fun, like 2 years for me. And in that same year, I got coaches and mentors around money and earning. Mm-hmm. And my like coaches literally showed me my potential, my earning potential that I was unaware of, because I was in like B2B like enterprise technology sales.
Yeah.
And I was unaware of how much could actually be made in that, because like I was new to the industry or newer.
Yeah.
And one of my like mentors and coaches, actually two of them, the two main ones, they're like, yeah, you can easily make like $300,000 to $500,000 plus a year. And like the top ones, the top people will make 500 to $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, mind blown, like just mind exploded. I was like, wait, I've only been making like 150 to 200. Yeah. You're telling me I can double, triple that, like, or even more? And suddenly when I had somebody who believed in me, my potential, and also told me what was possible, I was finally open to that possibility. Yeah. And so all those things happened in a 2-year period. So it started with that Mr. Money Mustache article. I was like, okay, I got to get my savings rate super high. So I eventually got my savings rate up to like 80 to 90% plus every single month.
Which that's impressive. That's pretty challenging to do.
It is super hard, especially where I live in the Bay Area, because it's really high cost of living here. It's one of the highest cost of living in place. But I was making crazy money. Like I went from making 150, then I think I made 444,000 after I got my coaches.
Yeah.
And then the following year I made over 700,000. And then the following year after that, I made almost $900,000 in a single year.
Yeah.
And so basically in 2 years, I became a millionaire.
Yeah.
From negative 80,000 to millionaire.
You stashed everything.
So I invested like a crazy person. I was like literally investing like some months, like 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it was also a really good time in the market because like the market was going up. So like as I was investing in it, it was taking that money and compounding it really fast because the market was on an upswing. Yeah. So like if I had just kept the money, and just put it in like a savings account that didn't get any interest or anything, like I probably wouldn't have got to a millionaire so fast. But because I had the market working on my behalf, and I was just like every month investing like crazy, saving as much and investing as much as possible, I rocketed up to like millionaire in 2 years.
Yeah. So also I want to bring it back for the people listening. So like you said, there's two parts of the equation, right? So there's how much you can live on, so saving and cutting on that, but also increasing your earning capacity. So obviously if you earn more, then savings rate would technically go up because it's a bigger number you're playing with.
Provided your expenses stay the same.
Yeah, which is challenging. So how did you, I understand that you made it a game, and I want to make it like tangible for people that are listening.
Yeah.
So how can you help someone with reducing the cost? Because I kind of was exposed to the same amount of money that you were over the past few years, where it just grows by like multi-six figure per year.
Yeah.
And if the lifestyle creeps up on you, it's like, well, I'm going to the restaurant. I'm not going to check. Oh, I'm busy. I'm just going to eat out. Or like, I really want this thing. Therefore, I'm going to buy the thing. How did you Like, how did you handle that?
Yeah,
Because
really.
you're stacking 70K a month. Like, my brain would go like, there's a nice watch right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go eat out. Let's go on a trip that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So really great question. So, and this is something like I think both you and I work with on our coaching clients is you have to have like a really big why.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had no why behind why I was earning that much money and, why I was being that frugal, like I would have easily just stepped back into the old, Hollywood Justin who just wants to like spend and, buy nice clothes and drive nice cars and live in super expensive condos and that. But to me, I recognized during that time that my highest personal value is freedom. And that freedom was more important than anything to me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get myself into a position where no matter what happened, if like I suddenly didn't like my job anymore, or I just wanted to take like a few months break or a sabbatical or just take a year off or just like, I didn't want to be at the mercy of my job or my income. I wanted to get to a point that no matter what happened, I could say like, hey, that doesn't work for me. That's not the life I want to live.
Yeah.
And I'm totally okay because I don't need this money. I don't need this job.
Yeah.
I don't need this income from like some, other source. I had built up my own kind of like stash
Yeah.
that and getting to that point, that was that freedom, that vision of truly being free was what drove me. And because I was like, okay, I could go buy nice stuff, or I could just keep working at this, knowing that eventually I'll get to a point where I have so much money that I can increase my lifestyle, but stay financially free. But first, I got to get to financial freedom, and then I can start to upgrade my lifestyle in lockstep. So I always stay financially free.
Yeah.
But I can continue as I like accumulate more wealth. I can like upgrade my lifestyle in lockstep to always stay financially free. And that has always been like that financial freedom, first getting there and then maintaining that is now kind of like what continues to drive me. Like, even as a multimillionaire, like I could go buy a really nice house in the Bay. But if I bought too expensive of a house, then I would be at the mercy of that mortgage and I would have to work and make money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would lose the house. And, unless I own the house outright, when you can't buy like a super, super nice house in the Bay for just like, 500 grand, it's like 2 million here for like an okay house.
Yeah.
And like a really nice house is like 3, 4, or 5 million plus here in the Bay. So I didn't want to be like, cool, now I got this nice house, but if I lose my income, like I'm fucked. And then if I default on my mortgage, it doesn't matter if I own 90% of the house.
Still gone.
It's the bank still owns it up until I completely pay it off.
Yeah.
And so right now, like me and my wife, we rent in a really beautiful place. I mean, like you're here, it's like very beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really nice home.
And so for me, it's still like I'm still tied to that same vision, being financially free, that freedom, just knowing that like, hey, like if I change my mind on how I want to live my life, I can literally like snap my fingers and transform. I don't have to be like, well, I can't do it because I need the money.
Yeah.
Like from this income source, whatever it is, whether it's entrepreneurial, like endeavor, like a consulting endeavor, like a corporate job, whatever. It's just like, for me, that freedom is so important. So for people who want to get to financial freedom fast, you have to tie yourself to a bigger vision. Like, is like having that financial freedom, that financial independence, is it a big enough why for you? And for some people, it will be. For other people, they'll need to decide on another why. And maybe that's like being able to take care of their parents, or, being able to take care of the kids and like them be there for their kids. Cause I have like, Mr. Money Mustache is a perfect example. The reason he did what he did is because he wanted to be there to raise his kid. He didn't want to have to be in a cubicle because he was like a software engineer. He's like, wait a minute, like mathematically, I can figure out how to get to financial independence, and then I can literally like retire and raise my kid.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. Right. Now, that's like, for me, that like, we don't have kids yet. So that's not why I did it. But for me, I just wanted to make sure that I had that freedom. And that was such a big driving why. And it still is like, and that's related to my values. Right.
Yeah.
And part of my vision for my life is always being and feeling free.
So let's define that, because I've heard we talked about all these great concepts, and I'm like, we didn't define what financial freedom, financial independence is.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What does that look like? And you gave me like a kind of a quick equation to kind of figure out what that number would have to be.
Yeah. So there's a couple, like it's defined differently by different people, but the way I like to think about financial independence is meaning that your assets that generate income cover the cost of your living expenses so that you never have to do any paid work. Now, you can, if you'd like to do paid work. I love to make money. Yeah. I'm not going to stop making money because it's fun for me. Yeah. But I only want to make money doing work that I enjoy. I don't want to have to like do work to make money, but I hate the work, because then I'm not free. Right. And so basically being financially independent means that like you never have to work for money. You get to work for money if you choose to. Mm-hmm. But basically it means like you can live for the rest of your life without earning another dollar, like from a job.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then an easy way to kind of calculate this, and we won't go deep into the like how all this works necessarily in the show, like is there's something called the 4% rule of thumb. And basically it's a rule of thumb, so you got to keep that in mind. Basically they did all these studies, and they basically found out that you could pretty much live off of 4% of your net worth if it was invested in broad-based like index funds, mm-hmm. For 30 plus years and never run out of money. And if you just, so basically, if you want to figure out like what your like financial independence like number would be, is you just figure out like, okay, what are my annual expenses? And you multiply that by 25, and then that will give you your 4% number. So basically, you know, I'll just do the math here. So let's say like I spent, call it $6,000 a month times 12, times 25. That means I need $1.8 million in order for that 4% rule of thumb, mm-hmm. to come into effect. Because at 1.8 million times 0.04, that gives me $72,000 to live off a year. Divide by 12, that's that $6,000 I said. So if, mm-hmm. you know, I spend $6,000 a month, like basically that's $72,000 a year. And that means you need 1.8 million invested in broad-based index funds to then be like have that 4% rule of thumb be in effect. And you can live off of that like 4% of the dividends that and interest and growth those index funds throw off for at least 30 years. Yeah. But like a lot of additional studies have shown that like a couple of things. One, most people continue to make some money somewhere. Yeah. So it's not like they just start spending down that like 1.8 million. They'll actually like, they'll do a little side job, make, you know, maybe $20,000, $30,000 a year. So suddenly they're not spending 72,000 a year because they're actually making, call it 20 grand. Yeah. So they're making 20, spending 72. So they're really only spending down 52,000 of that 1.8 million per year. So it slows it down. So suddenly you went from like 30 years. Now you're up to like, I don't know, I'd have to do all the math, but like now you're up to 40 years. Yeah. And then you figure out something else, or you lower your costs, or you like start making even more money. And it's like, wait a minute, like now it's like just keeps expanding and expanding. So basically for me, my original FI number was like 1.5 million. Cause that like, let's see,
What is that? It's like $5,000 ish.
1.5 million times 0.04 divided by 12. That's $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Cause I got myself well below that. And
yeah.
And so like,
that's pretty tough to do in this area.
Yeah.
I was like, think of rent I got to pay for when we move. Like,
yeah. But I was like, the biggest thing is that you want to think of like when you first get into this, you want to think about the three biggest things that like affect your expenses. One is like your housing, rent, mortgage, etc. That's always the biggest one. And then depending on who you are, the second biggest one is either food or car. Yeah. And sometimes people just spend a lot of money on food. Some people spend a lot of money on car. But if you can optimize one of those, you're going to go really like a lot faster. If you can optimize two of those, you're going to go even faster. If you can optimize all three really low, you're going to go really fucking fast.
Yeah.
And so I optimized all three. I sold my Range Rover, got a Prius. I stopped eating out.
Is that still the one you have now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So even though I'm a multimillionaire, I drive a Prius. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But I don't care because I have a wife, and it's like I'd rather be like fit and rich than like drive a nice car.
Yeah.
Like, and I could go buy a Range Rover now and like whatever, but like to me, it's like, what is it for? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
is it more of an ego piece?
Yeah, to impress other people.
Yeah.
Or is it to like do something else? And so for me, I've just really been playing with it the last few years. So like, I've been thinking like, I kind of want a Tesla. And I keep asking myself, is that my ego that wants a Tesla? Is it the part of me that wants to go fully electric? Like, what is it? And I'm not totally sure. So I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the things to think about, like create that big why, use the 4% rule of thumb. And some of you people like listening, watching, you'll be like, fuck, like I spend $100,000 a year and I barely make $100,000 a year, or I make 70,000 a year and I'm going into more and more debt a year. Yeah. This is why it's really important, and this is what we work on with our clients in Fit Rich Life coaching, is like starting to actually manage and track your money.
Yeah.
Because what gets measured gets managed, empowered, and manifested. Mm-hmm. Right. So I actually took Peter Drucker, like one of the kind of like luminaries of like business management. His quote is like, what gets measured gets managed. I've just built upon that. What gets measured gets managed, empowered, and manifested. So if you're measuring your savings rate, then you can start to empower it to grow that savings rate even higher, which will then manifest you achieving financial freedom. But if you never start measuring it, it's like basically if I drop you in the ocean and say like, hey, meet me, in Hawaii. If you don't know where you're at, you don't know how to get where you want to go. Yeah. Right. You have to know where you're at and where you're going each step of the way in order to go. Like, so you think about it like a GPS, right? Yeah. So like tracking, managing your money starts to give you that GPS system. Yeah. Like, am I tracking towards where I want to go, or am I off course? Okay, now I need to course correct. And so many people, myself included, and until I started working with professionals, I was so afraid to look at my money.
It's another big part, right? Is people are, like you said, some people are making 70K and are spending 100K. I bet you the people that are spending 100 making 70 don't even know they're spending an additional 30. They just see the credit card bill and they're like, oh, I'm just going to pay for it because, I need to pay for it. And at the end of the year, like, God damn, line of credit has an extra 30K on it. And I don't know how I got there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is just like one of those things, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Mm-hmm. Right. And, a lot of people, we live in a society that like constantly is programming us through media to consume.
Yeah.
Right. And until you like take a stand and start like creating like this self-awareness of like what you are doing. And that's what tracking does for us. It allows us to be like, wait a minute, is my consumption in line with my values, my vision, and my goals? Right. Because many of us have a goal to be financially free. Right. But that goal is unachievable if you don't actually like see if your spending and life is in line with that goal and the values that you're going to have to develop in order to achieve that goal. So one of the things that I really love is this idea that our actions reveal our values. Mm-hmm. and our values empower us to achieve our goals. So when you realize, like, wait a minute, my actions show me that, like, I really am not disciplined with my money. I'm really terrible with my money. Like, then the way to change your value, like, if you want to be disciplined, take disciplined action around your money or your fitness. And discipline is a scary word for a lot of people, but I had a coach reframe it to me because it sounds hard.
It sounds like lack of freedom.
Correct.
Is what discipline sounds for a lot of people.
But
Jocko Willings, discipline equals freedom.
True. But the way I like to think of it is I am a disciple of my money. I'm a disciple of my fitness. And what is a disciple? They are devotional. They are reverent, right? And so, like, I love being a disciple of my fitness and my money. I love being a disciple of my fitness, of my best life, right? Because then it's like I am in reverence and devotional to those aspects of my life. And now, like, discipline along with freedom are two of my core values, right? Yeah. And there's this really awesome yogic term called moksha, which literally means freedom through constraint.
Yeah, I think you put that in one of your presentations.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, if you think about it, when you go and exercise, you're constraining your body into this, like, okay, I'm going to do this workout that is like putting in me this, like, this physical box that's going to force me to, like, go through challenging movements to, like, get more fit. But as you get more fit, you become more free. And then when you start to track your money, you're constraining things, right? You're starting to, like, measure savings, expenses, like
put boundaries,
etc. And then suddenly you have you start accumulating money in like achieving more and more financial freedom. And so literally you actually get freedom through constraint or through discipline, or, you know, as Jocko Willings says, like, you know, discipline equals freedom or whatever he says, but it's like, it's so fucking true. And like Jocko's like hardcore, like hard. I'm like, yeehaw, crazy, happy, fun. And I'm like, I'm devotional, right? Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't matter how you get to it. Like, all the wealthiest people, they're super disciplined. Some of them are crazy, fun, wild people. Some of them are super hardcore, like army type militant people. It doesn't matter, but like they all have that, like, you know, that core value of discipline in that.
Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that. There's a component of, like, mindset that I want to also talk about.
Sure.
But I just want to touch on a piece of tracking, which is basically a form of bringing awareness to those areas that are important to you.
Yep.
And I feel that as humans, we tend to numb ourselves, right? So it could be with drugs or alcohol, but it could also be with, like, social media, YouTube, TV, Netflix, 100%. And all of these things. So people are very numb to their bodies and their health. So they could be carrying 40, 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
They could be 30, 40K in debt.
Yeah.
And they choose to live as if it's not there because it's too painful to look at.
Yeah.
Right. And so ultimately, the people that are going to listen to this podcast episode will have somewhat of a desire to improve, or else they would just not be on this channel ultimately. But the people that are somehow fell onto this, that are numb to a lot of the areas of their life, like bringing awareness to it and just tracking, not even the intention of tracking to make a change, but just tracking to bring awareness to it,
100%.
I think would make the world of a difference. It'd be like, oh, damn, like I'm spending, I think when we started working together, we started Fit Rich Life over a year ago.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, dude, like track your expenses. And that's kind of time when I was making, like, I was building up in my income. I was like, man, I spent like $2,000 on food last month. And I didn't even know I spent $2,000 on food.
When you said that to me, and I was like, dude, that's I spend like 800 or 900 for two people, but $2,000 is like, and I spend like all organic, like I buy a lot of groceries.
Yeah. I was like, I spent $2,000 fucking food. It's Whole Foods, man.
Yeah.
Whole Foods in LA. But
paycheck.
yeah, pretty, like, it's crazy. So definitely bringing awareness really helped a lot to be like, okay, like I'm definitely spending too much on this. Now when I go to a restaurant, I'm like, how many times did we go this week? Okay, cool. I know it's like $60, $40. I kind of know where I'm at ultimately.
Yeah.
Would love to talk about mindset.
Sure.
Because there's two components what we shared. saving money, lowering your cost of living, right? And some of your biggest expenses, and increasing your earning capacity.
Yeah.
You know about upper limiting, right?
Yep.
Damn, what's the book? I forgot.
The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
The Big Leap. So for those people listening that have read it, you're going to understand the next point. If you haven't, go read the book. Highly recommended. So when you talk about lowering your cost of living, I think there's upper limits that can show up in there.
Yeah.
And when you talk about increasing your earning capacity, there's definitely upper limits that can show up in there.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate going from like living nightclub, making like, multi six figures, but spending multi six figures to going like, okay, I'm going to make like close to $1 million now, and I'm going to cut down my rate of saving? Like, what mindset changes did you have to make on the saving sides and on the earning capacity side?
Yeah. Again, this is why I go back to like having it be a game, right? Because like humans, the cool thing about us is like we're so dynamic. Like we can literally make anything a game.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to play a game forever. Right. So I knew like, okay, like I'm going to play this frugality thing. I'm going to have fun. And I'm going to enroll like my wife into the bigger vision. Right. So like many of you like have a partner. Right.
Yeah.
So like you can't tell your significant other what to do or not to do. Like I tried that like with the money stuff and like it totally blew up in my face. And it was like stupid.
Yeah.
So, but you can enroll them in your goals and dreams and vision and ask them to support you. So like that is definitely, if you're not single and you are in some sort of family unit, whether that's with a partner or, you have kids or whatever, you do have to get like the other people in the household on board with you. So that's like a part of the kind of overall like thing that you do. The mindset that you want to like take on is like really being like the champion of your own life, the author of your own life, but also like really like how can you make it fun for you? So basically for me, I created like kind of like a mission statement for myself that like I was going to pursue financial independence while having as much fun and feeling as free as possible. So like for me, like some people will approach financial independence and it's a slog. It just sucks for multiple years. And it's like, once I get there, then I can finally enjoy life. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to have fun the entire way there. Because if I'm having fun doing it, then I get even more motivated to save even more and make even more. Because if I'm like making a big game out of it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did for myself that really worked. And there's just so many different ways to save money that you don't recognize till you start going down that. So like I started to learn how to travel hack, basically like using like credit card sign up bonuses to get travel points. And then I ended up racking up like over 1 million like points. I haven't paid for like an airline ticket since 2014, like almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Now. Like that's insane. Like sorry. All this took place at all this went down that first, I just remembered the date. It was November 2017 when I read that Mr. Money Mustache article. November 2014, I think it was when I was finally finishing up like things at Stanford, or sometime around there. But yeah, it was 2017. So just to like correct the timeline, but basically that's the mindset is you really have to like make it fun, because no one wants to do anything that's like hard or sucks. Right.
Yeah.
But if like, just like people can fall in love with like working out out is like, you're literally putting your body through struggle and pain.
Yeah.
But like, how many people love to work out? Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who are out of shape have to learn how to fall in love with that process. Right.
Yeah.
So that's step one. Step two, so like make it a game, like step two is like, enroll the people around you, because money is a team game if you're in any sort of family unit. So like they don't have to go at the same speed as you. They don't have to do what you do, but they at least need to support you doing what you want to do in order to achieve that financial freedom. Because if they're working against you or it's causing friction in the relationship, that's not going to be a fun life, right? Yeah. So that's the second part. The third part is you really have to fall in love with the journey. The process is the prize. This is something Ryan Holiday says in his book, The Obstacle is the Way, which is like one of my favorite books.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah. And like the process is the prize. So the process of kind of like getting your expenses in line and then strategically working to like earn more money. It's not actually earning more money or lowering your expenses. It's the process of going through that. And by going through that, you're going to have to become a whole new person. And this is where, like, I forget. Oh, I think it was actually Tony Robbins' teacher. What's his name? Jim Rohn, who actually said, it's not the goal, it's the person that you're going to have to become to achieve the goal. So the goal isn't financial freedom or to lower expenses or to earn more money. Like, I mean,
or to be fitter.
That's exactly. That's the goal, but that's not really what's important. What's really important is the person that you're going to become. And since I went down this path, I've become such a better person to myself, to my wife, to like the positive impact that I'm making in the world. And that's what you want to like start to be like, is like, who do I have to become to lower my expenses, to earn more money, to create financial freedom, and get excited about becoming that person, right? And then getting those values, vision, and goals like all aligned, right? So you have a goal of financial freedom. Okay, cool. What are the values you're going to have in order to get there? Like, and what is the vision of not only like achieving financial freedom, but the vision of how you get there? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you start with a big vision, a big why, you work back to like the goals, or you can develop the goal and the vision kind of at the same time. And then as you have that goal and vision, what are the values you're going to have to develop, and then make all of that a game and roll the people around you. And that whole thing is like a game plan to get you to financial freedom.
Yeah, I love that. So basically, that's what I find interesting with a lot of successful people that I have around me, with, you know, you being a part of those, the level of reframing that everyone goes through each, like whether it's they're like really rich and they want to get fitter, or whether they're super fit and they want to learn to make money, right? Or they're like trying to navigate both at the same time. It's always like a game of reframing, because everyone has access to some of the same things.
What's the difference between starving and fasting?
It's a choice.
It's literally just a different frame.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. That's what I said when I was poor. I was fasting. I'm fasting. Okay. I'm all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
No, man, like a lot of the tools that you've shared with me have helped me a lot since we met.
Yeah.
Because you told me, I think I'd heard about financial freedom like many, many years ago, but I was probably 13 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, that's a cool thing. But when you presented it to me in the position that I was in, I was like, shit, like that's actually like achievable within the next like 3 to 5 years.
Easily.
Like, but then you told me about like paying off the debt first, which I'm happy that I did that.
Yeah.
$60K just gone.
Right. Don't you feel lighter and like more powerful and happier and healthier?
Yeah, because it's just not there anymore. And then the other part you told me is security accounts.
Yeah.
Like building security accounts for your life and for your business. And then I built those.
Yeah.
I think I have 6 months in each.
Yeah. Also called emergency fund.
Yeah.
But basically it's just like a buffer. Like if anything goes wrong, like, you know, you have a nice like cushion.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like, you know, whatever, all my online businesses failed at the same time, I'm going to be okay for like several months.
Yeah.
Right.
So doing that brought a big feeling of security.
Yep.
Because now I think in total, I could probably take a year off of everything and be good and have time to think of what other thing I would want to do.
Yeah.
So that was such a big move. So a lot of things that you shared with me that allowed me to like pay off the debt, build a security account, start my investment journey.
Yep.
You teach to our members for the
100%.
Fit Rich Life coaching. So I want to go into that. So for the people listening, like, it's a plug, of course, because we started it, but there's great value in it.
Yeah.
So when Justin and I first had this conversation, we want to create something that we wish we had when we were younger.
100%.
Because no one taught us how to be fit and handle our money.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm gonna be 30 in a few months now. And like, I just learned that shit last year from you.
Yeah.
Right. No one taught us that in school. I had no one, if you're not from that world and no one in the environment knows that stuff.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to learn it.
Yeah. I didn't get a six pack until I was like 32 or 33 and worked with my first fitness coach. And I had tried by myself for 15 plus years to figure it out. Then I work with a coach and
like, bam,
4 to 6 months, I'm like abs, muscles, like great on camera, like shirtless at the beach. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I waste 15 years trying to figure out on my own?
Yeah.
And, you know, like you're saying, like same thing with money. Yeah. Like if I had Fit Rich Life coaching or something like that when I was working in Hollywood making all that money, like I would have been financially free, financially independent, like in my, like before, well before 30, like, in my middle 20s.
Yeah.
Like, and how cool. And so like you and I talk about this all the time. Like we designed this program to like, be the program that we wish we had when we were younger or at a certain time in our life. Like I did the same thing with my money. I started working with like masterminds and coaches, and basically like, around 34 and 35, somewhere around there. And then by 37, I was a millionaire. And I was like, Jesus Christ, if I had done this when I was 25, I might have not been a millionaire in 2 years, but I would have been a millionaire much sooner than 37.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm happy I started earlier.
Yeah.
Than you did. I'm happy we met and we did this. So, ultimately for the people that we work with, like what are some of the tools what's some of the wins that you've seen from our members? You have some pretty incredible wins financially. I got a lot of great physical transformation, but a lot of great financial wins.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ones, and it's because there's so many different sides of money. And, I think the win that all of them have is just starting to feel a level of confidence and mastery around their money, where they're no longer afraid of their money, but they actually start to get comfortable, like with managing their money, looking at their money, understanding where they are, where they're trying to go. So that's like all the members benefit from that.
And they sound more excited about it too.
Yeah, because then, how many times like it just like makes my heart sing when they're like, guess what? Like I talked to my mom about money for the first time ever. I talked to my brother or my sister and my best friend. Like we were talking about like investing and saving and paying off debt. And they're just like the freedom that was like expressed in their voice as they're sharing with me. Cause like money is so taboo.
Yeah, people don't want to talk about it.
You don't talk to your friends and be like, yo, how much you make, how much debt you have.
Yeah. Well, my friends, we do talk.
Yeah.
Because we're different.
Exactly. Like we do that. But, up until I got into kind of the world of financial independence and financial freedom, I didn't talk to anybody because I was like, I'm ashamed of myself. I don't want to talk. I don't want them to ask about mine.
Yeah.
So that's like, huge wins, just like experiencing that freedom. But like literally we had one member who his goal was to pay off 21 grand in debt in 6 months. And literally he did it in 3.5 months.
Yeah.
And he literally said to me, like, this is the first time I've ever been debt free in my entire life. So I know that's not technically true, because like at some point when he was a kid, he probably didn't have debt. But basically, as soon as
he acquired debt,
since he got a credit card when he was, probably in his teenager years or young, 20s, like he's been in debt. Yeah. And like for the first time in his life, and he was in like his like mid 30s. Yeah. And he's like, holy shit, like I'm finally debt free. I just had another member a few weeks ago let me know that she actually surpassed that member. She's paid off $50,000 in debt.
Nice.
In the last, I think I want to call it 7 months, 7 months. And I was just like, I'm so proud of you, because like these are people who thought they would be in debt for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one side of it. Other members, like one of our members, like she literally got her dream job, like working with us. Like basically, during one of the one-on-one coaching sessions, I was like, okay, like, let's figure out like, what would your like dream job be right now in your life? It doesn't have to be for your entire life, but like right now, if you could do anything that like, it's like, possible, right? Like what would that be? And then literally within like a month or so of like deciding what that was, she got the job.
Yeah.
And so like that was another. And then seeing other members being like starting Airbnb businesses, starting to get into real estate. Almost every single member has like now, I believe every single member has now started, has become an investor. And these are all people who are like, I don't know how to invest. I'm so scared. And like, I don't know what to do. And like, we teach the members to do that, because like part of becoming financially free is becoming an investor, right? Because like, if you don't invest, like, it doesn't matter how much money you save. Like, you're just like investing just takes you up to a whole, that's where your money is making money.
Yeah.
Right. There's kind of like 3 levels of like, money. There's like trading your time for money,
Mhm.
right? And then there's using your money to buy time. And then there's your money is making you money
Mhm.
and creating more time for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm at level 2 now.
Yeah.
So I'm still using my money to buy time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one thing I want to mention is for the people listening. So with the program, what we do is, like Justin mentioned, there's many different variables to the equation, but we focus on helping the members, increase their earning capacity.
Yeah.
Helping them track, because we have an awesome tracker, and there's obviously many other tools to like help them track, have an awareness, and reduce their cost of living.
Yeah.
And so obviously, and increasing their savings rate.
Yeah.
So there's multiple components to it. One thing I want to say, because I don't like this mindset approach, I know Justin is on the same board as me. This is not a make money quick rich.
Oh, no.
Like it's not quick money.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fat loss. Like this is a long game plan.
100%.
Justin's transformation, long game. My transformation, long game
and
as
even
well.
2 years to a millionaire is insanely fast, and there's luck involved in that. Like
that's
right time, right place.
Yeah.
But like I truly believe like almost anyone can get to millionaire status in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If you're like dedicated.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you'll do it faster.
Yeah.
But anyone with the right skill set, the right kind of like, team around them of like coaches and mentors, like can get there in 5 to 10 years. No problem.
Yeah. Because when I did the numbers, like I'm pretty good, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna 7 figures.
Yeah.
It would take me about 4 to 5 years to get there.
Yeah.
That where I would be financially free, because my number was higher than your first one.
Yeah.
To kind of stay there.
Yeah.
I like, it's a little bit more luxury. So
yeah.
numbers a little bit higher.
And that's the coolest thing that about the program and about the game of money is it's fully customized to the individual. The program is. So like some people are in the debt payoff. Some people are in the like, I want to earn more money. Some people are like, I want to get a better job because I hate my job. Some people are like, I want to learn how to invest or like get into like start a side hustle or whatever. And it's not like, the program, what I love so much about it is the fact that it is custom tailored to the individual for like where they're at in life and where they want to go. Right. It's not like, hey, everyone gets the same program and everyone does the same exact thing. Now, there's certain things that there's certain tools everyone gets that everyone uses to get to their goals, but the program is always tailored. And then the money journey for you and for me, and everyone else is highly individualistic, right? Like you earn a lot of money, right? So you can rocket up to like financial independence a lot faster because you don't need to necessarily worry about earning a ton more money. You just need to now accumulate and build wealth, right? And now, like you've seen working with me, you're suddenly starting to accumulate money, right? And whereas before it's just kind of like you're making more, but like there was nothing to show for it. And that was me too. Like I was making plenty of money, but there's nothing to show.
You get to at the end of the year, like this is how much profit I got. That's very little. Like where did it all go?
Or it's like, fuck, I made that much money, but there's nothing in my bank.
Yeah, I know. I was like, where did it go, man? Yeah, I get that. The other thing is we have a broad range of people in the program. Right? We had a few multimillionaires in the program, just like we have, the mom next door that's in the program. There's some students. There's some younger people in the program, like different age ranges from different backgrounds.
Our youngest member right now is around 22, 23, and our oldest member right now is I think 58. And like, there's people like if there's someone who's even younger or even older, like we're happy to take with them because like we're all on a different journey.
Exactly. There's no age to mastering your money. Right. Yeah. Because like you said, you talked to some people that didn't end up joining the program that should have, some people, are making multi 6 figures
100%.
And they have a runway of like 2 months. Like if they don't make money for 2 months, like they're screwed. They have nothing.
The house of cards falls down. And that is unfortunately most people. Literally most people. It's like if they stop earning money within 1 to 3 months, everything would fall apart. They would lose their house. Like they'd be like, either moving in with their parents or out on the street. And that's crazy. What kind of stressful life that is to live that.
You're just constantly running, right? You're constantly sprinting. You're just trying to keep up.
You're always on that like hamster wheel. It's like, and you can't even pause to be like, wait, am I living the life I want to live? Because you're like, fuck, I don't even have time to stop and think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So people understand, like, this is a big passion for Justin and I, because Justin was in a position and got to the position of financial freedom. To me, get fucking slept in my car. I was fasting for a long time. Right. Like so for me, I really focused on increasing my earning capacity, which skyrocketed. But on the flip side, I had to learn to like reduce my expenses, because it does kind of creep up as you earn more. So that's the part I'm focusing on. So everyone's on their own journey, but it's definitely something like I wish I had, and Justin wishes he had. And it's so awesome to see the wins from the members.
And the coolest thing about it is, like, it's not forever. Like, you don't have to be frugal forever. Like, you can if you enjoy it. But like, I would say the most interesting thing. So I hit, kind of like my first level of financial independence around 37, and I'm about to turn 41. So it's been, like 4 years. So the last 2 to 3 years, I've kind of really been like exploring what is my rich life, and I call it my fit rich life, because who doesn't want to be fit and rich and live a great life? And so now it's like I spend a lot more on like the nice home that we live in, right? Then, for 9 years, like I lived in, like, it wasn't like the worst place in the world. It was what I like to say, it was the worst house in a really nice neighborhood.
Yeah. It was a nice house, but it's different. I never saw all of your old house. But because we're shopping for an apartment right now, because we're moving to LA. So when Ivy shows me, she's like, "Oh, I found this home." I'm like, "Show me the kitchen." You can tell if the house is nice just by the kitchen. So I remember the tiles on your other kitchen. I was like, I know what kind of home it is. And then you have a nice kitchen here.
And so, but that's the thing though. I utilize, so when I discovered financial independence, I chose to stay in that place because it allowed me to, like, as I continued to earn more, save more and more. So I could have moved to a much nicer place. And believe me, my wife really did want to, but I said to my wife, like, it is so important to me to achieve financial freedom. Like, can you just like be patient with me? We'll move to a nicer place, but it's really important for me to like get us to financial freedom as fast as possible. And, bless her heart, she was like, she wanted to move like 5 years ago, and we just moved. Right. But she did that for me. And that's why I say it's a team game, right? Because if we didn't have that conversation, if she didn't agree to support my dream of financial freedom, like, that could have ended the relationship, right? But instead, we decided to talk about it. And that was another thing we work with our members, and I'm really passionate about, is how do you talk about money with your significant other, right? Because it is such a team game. Now, again, I said this earlier in the podcast, you do not need to go at the same speed. You don't even have the same values. It's okay if one person's hyper frugal and the other person is just like mindful of their money. And that's ultimately what me and my wife did. Like, my wife continued to eat out with her friends. I was like, go ahead. I don't care. You can eat out, like, use your money to eat out. And I'm going to use my money and like put it into the investments. Like, for us. Cause like, that's more fun and exciting than eating out to me right now at this point in my life. So now, like, I eat out once or twice a week. We just had awesome vegan sushi. Like, we live in a nice house, and like, I have 3 different gym memberships. Like, like, now I invest in the things that bring me massive happiness. So like I'm always like, how do I increase the richness of my life? And how do I strategically use my money to live my best fit rich life? And so I've moved out of frugality and into proactively ever evolving and building my fit rich best life.
Yeah. I think it's something important to point out. Everyone has their thing that they value the most. Like, you're not going to go buy a Rolex, right?
No.
But you're going to have 3 gym memberships and a Garmin and a Whoop and an Oura ring.
Yeah. Three fitness trackers and 3 gym memberships.
Right. So like, your values are in that, and that's where you're spending more money versus on some other things. Right. So I think that's an important distinction for people to make. We all have certain things that we value more than others that bring us the most joy, and those are the things we should go towards.
And so fitness is one of my values. So of course I'm going to spend money on gym memberships and like, 3 different trackers, because like that feeds that value, right? For me. And fitness is also part of my discipline, right? So those values actually like nurture each other.
Yeah.
Right. And we're in my like creative studio right now, and there's kettlebells and there's dumbbells and there's
Treadmill, longboards,
slant
push-up stands.
board.
Yeah.
Like
The batons.
yeah, exactly. And so like now I put my money towards those things that add additional richness to my life. And I'm no longer now, am I still frugal in certain areas? Yeah. Like my car. Like I'm still driving a Prius because like I don't really care. Like I like the way it looks. I like the way it drives. It gets great gas mileage, and the cost of maintenance is nothing. Like it is so low, insurance super low, and like it gets me to and from the gym, which is what is most important.
Yeah. There's a component of like confidence slash old ego. So what I mean by that is faking that you have money versus actually having money. So when you fake you have money, you want like the nice car, the nice apartment, all that stuff. And then when you actually have money, you just don't care about all of these things anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's such a journey that I've had to go through and that most people have to go through.
100%.
They go through like, oh, I'm starting to make money. I need to look like I'm making money.
Yeah.
And then when you start to have like real money, you're like, I'm just gonna wear like a plastic watch and I'm just gonna wear like normal clothes. There's that little like journey that everyone seems to go through.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like what's kind of like what internally shifted, or was it just deciding that it became a game?
It was deciding it became a game, and deciding that like really choosing myself. And what I mean by that is like I believe that all of us, not just me, but like you, everyone listening to this, you can make anything cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the mindset.
Yeah.
So like I made frugality cool. Like, so when my friends like who weren't into doing what I was doing, I was like, yo, I'm fucking saving all this money, like doing all these like ridiculous things because guess what? I'm becoming financially free. Like, and it's fucking rad. Like, do you know how much I have saved and invested now compared to like before I did this? Like, oh, I just like hit my first 100,000 invested. Oh, sweet. Now I'm at 300,000. And like, to me, I tied my like coolness to like building wealth and financial freedom.
Because your identity to it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, that's like, I don't want the things to define me. Mm-hmm. I want like that freedom to define me. Right.
Yeah.
That idea of creating freedom for my own life. Right.
Yeah.
And anyone can get behind that, because if I like, turn the audience, I said like, hey, if you never had to work for money again, like, would that be a life that you wanted to live where you could literally do anything you wanted, like, for work, for play, for the rest of your life? Would you want that? I don't know anyone who said no. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a dumb life to live.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I want to talk about one last piece of mindset.
Sure.
So people are at different stages of life, right? So like we talked, there's multiple variables to the equation of financial freedom. One of them is saving. The other one is increasing earning capacity.
Yeah.
So I am still like, I think I'm always going to be learning and evolving from the old mindset.
Yeah.
So I can already like think how the old me would think about this conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, but Justin, I don't have any money right now, so I can't invest in a coach to kind of learn how to make more money and to manage my money.
Yeah.
Now having invested like hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentors and coaches, I'm like, I know, I get it, but the old me wouldn't understand that.
Yeah.
So for the people that are listening that are in a stage of their life where they want to get out of the position that they're in, what is something that you would share with them that you've also seen for yourself?
Yeah. So in order to move to a new level of life, you have to take a new level of action. Mm-hmm. So if you want to achieve financial freedom or become fit or, transform your life, you're going to have to start taking action in new, different, and powerful ways. And you can do it on your own if you'd like. The chances that is going to take you a lot longer than working with, say, a professional coach in whatever area you're looking to excel. Mm-hmm. Is like, it's going to take probably 10 to 20 times as long, if not longer, to do it by yourself, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or you could just like bite the bullet and make the best investment possible, which is the investment in yourself. Like even better than investing in, the stock market and an index fund is investing in yourself. And you look at all the most successful people in the world, whether the athletes, businessmen, great husbands, great wives, like many of them, if not all of them, utilize coaching and professionals like masterminds, coaches, etc. So you may think that like, oh, investing this, whatever, call it, $3,000 for a 6-month program or whatever it is. That's like so much money. But like, I guarantee you, if you go start working through all of your expenses, you can claw back $3,000 in a year. Almost everyone can.
Yeah.
And if not, you can start to figure out how to like at least get partway there and then like sign up with someone who will get you there that much faster. So you could go from, managing your expenses down so you can get that extra money to invest in that professional help and you can rocket your way forward.
Yeah.
Or you can spend 10, 20, 30, maybe even a lifetime trying to figure out by yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like, what speed do you want to go at?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what a mentor is. You're buying speed and certainty because the mistakes have been made before
100%.
and you're basically being prevented those mistakes.
Exactly. Like the reason I'm not as far as you are right now is because like I didn't have me when I was your age. Right. And so like another great way to get like coaching for free is to start a business with someone who's better at something than you are. So, and this goes both ways, right? So like I'd never been an online coach, always dreamed of being a fitness and money coach, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So there's two things I could have done. I could have hired a coach to teach me how to do it, or I could partner with this guy. Right. And that's what I did. And like, we were profitable month 1.
Yeah.
Like what business is profitable in the first month? Like very few, like percentage wise.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's another way is like, you can literally go work for somebody who like is already living the life that you want to live. Right. So like whether you pay for the coaching or you like start working for the person or with the person, those are ways, but you have to start taking new action in new ways if you want to get to a new level of life.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think it's so straightforward to just like, I still work with coaches.
Yep.
I've worked with relationship coaches, breakthrough coaches, business coaches, money coaches, career coaches. It's like, I'm constantly, fitness coaches. Cause like, I'm like, why do I want to like spend 15 years trying to figure out how to get abs when I can do it in 4 to 6 months and like whatever the next version of the abs is, how to earn, $2 million a year or like, how to build a business or, a certain type of business, or how to take my marriage to the next level. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a thing with investing. We always use having skin in the game when you invest in a coach.
Yeah.
But I think because money is energy. And so ultimately, if you choose to put some of your money and energy towards, for, let's say, a coaching program, then I think like everyone has an internal list of priorities, right? So it can be like partner, health, career, chilling, relaxing, like whatever. People has this internal list. Yeah. You said earlier, the version of like action expresses priorities. Yeah. So naturally your actions are showing what the priority of this list is. Yeah. But when you spend money on something, you're consciously choosing to bump up this area of your life that you're investing in higher on that list. 100%. So you're more likely to spend more time and energy on it because you just naturally brought it up because you spent money on it. Yeah. Because we all want to get value for our money, right? Yeah. So it's like, if you've ever been like as a kid, I don't know, were you ever given some like awesome toy? Oh yeah. And then what about like you contrast that when you like worked your fucking ass off to earn the money to buy that toy? Yeah. Which toy did you value more? Oh yeah, the one you paid for. Exactly. Yeah. And it's the same thing with like honestly, if getting fit and rich is like simple as fuck. Like, eat less calories than you burn and exercise. Cool, you're fit. Save more money than you spend and invest difference. Awesome, you're rich. Yeah. And the problem isn't the actual like actions. The problem is the implementation.
And
Yeah.
the incredible thing about coaching is they empower you to implement. Right? They hold you accountable. They give you strategies. They give you tools. They save you decades of time, energy, and frustration.
Yeah.
And that's what you're paying for.
And they help you build a new identity.
100%.
Yeah, that's a big part.
Yeah. I mean, because I just get goosebumps about like literally, I just got goosebumps being like thinking about like I'm the type of person who gets coaches because like I'm a high performer. Right.
Yeah.
And anyone who steps into coaching for their first time, they're like, wait a minute, I'm that person that's like such high performing that I have a coach.
Yeah.
Like that feels good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an identity piece also to believe that high performers get coaches, right?
It's also a recognition that I think most of us are looking for, which is I am worthy. Right. I am worthy to have a coach.
Yeah.
And the way you affirm that is by investing in it, because then it's like, hell yeah, I deserve this.
Yeah.
Like I deserve to build my fitness or my money or my best life or whatever it is, the business, whatever you're getting the coaching for. Like Maxim and I, like, we don't care if you sign up for our coaching program. We're just like, we just want you to build your best life and like get there as fast as possible. And it's an ever evolving thing, but each time you get to a new level, you start to work like you work with a new set of people, coaches, friends, mentors, business associates, colleagues, etc. That help bring you into that next level. And then you kind of master that level and then you want to go to the next level, right?
Yeah. And Justin is right. Like I've kicked out people out of my coaching program because they weren't doing the work.
Yeah.
We don't care for just to get a bunch of clients. What we want is success stories. We want people that are actually going to implement, they're actually going to change their life. If you're going to come in and do nothing, like we don't want your investment, right? Yeah. Ultimately, we want you to do the work. We're here to change lives, right? We don't like, we're okay. So,
especially me, because like, I want to get richer, but I don't need the money. Like what I'm looking for is the impact. Yeah. Like that's what feeds me. Yeah. But it's the same thing. It's like if I gave everyone this program for free,
no one would do it.
They would do nothing
because there's a bunch of resources on Google, and YouTube. No one's using them.
100%, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's
and like this is one thing I really like to point out. There are plenty of people who've achieved financial independence without coaches,
for sure.
But they're also the minority. Most people need help.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with needing help. It's actually like, it's so brilliant and brave when you recognize like, wait a minute, I do need help. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And because like humans were meant to do this work together, not in isolation. So some people are really good about like researching everything online and implementing. But other people, they need the infrastructure. They need the accountability. They need the emotional, mental, spiritual support that comes with a coaching program. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I work with coaches, I'm in masterminds, so do you.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot on those.
And it's like, yes, I figured out other parts of my life without getting a coach, but like the areas that I'm the most expressed in, the most successful in, I've gotten a lot of help.
Yeah. There's talk about like investing in yourself and you being worth it. I find it funny because most people will land, let's say $2,000. If a friend's really stuck or like it's a family member, there's take the money. But when it comes time to investing in themselves, they're like, nah, like I can't do that for myself. No, but they'll lend $2,000 for their friend.
I don't deserve it, or like, it's too much. I should like do something else with the money.
Yeah. And ultimately my life only changed because I reached out for help.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, we would not be here recording this podcast. I would not be moving to California.
Yeah.
It's only because I asked for help. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the ego piece, right? Yeah. Especially for like men, is the kind of thing that comes up the most often. But like the Rolex, the car, the nice apartment, I don't need help. I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
And then they progress. They regress. A lot of them don't progress. They just regress.
Yeah. 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 I mean, like, it's like, I always love to say that, like, when we do the work together, you go so much faster and you have so much more fun.
Yeah.
And you go so much farther.
Yeah. And I want to offer like a last, because we talked about reframing earlier, last reframing. I am currently working on making one of the biggest investments of my life, in working with Tony Robbins. And it scares me a little bit because it's a lot.
It should.
Yeah, it's a lot. But like I want to present my how I'm framing it for myself.
Yeah.
If I don't do this, the money that I'm going to not be able to earn extra, or the impact that I'm not going to be able to have, is far greater than my current investment. Right. And I calculate my investment in it and how much I have to sell to be able to get that money back.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to sell this much to be able to pay for this thing out of working with Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
I know I will. It's not an issue, right? Yeah. How much more impact can I have, right?
100%.
Is that worth more than the investment I'm making? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I going to save decades of stupid mistakes and costly mistakes?
Yeah.
Because when you start off in business, you make mistakes. It's like, oh, $100 mistake, $1,000 mistake. And then you progress, and it's like $10,000 mistake, $50,000 mistake. And you're like, your mistakes become more expensive.
Yeah.
And so it's like, am I going to be able to like speed up the process by decades and reduce the amount of mistakes and the cost of those mistakes? Like, then therefore the investment is worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I could go back to my 25-year-old self and say like, hey, like if you invest like $3,000, I will shave off 10 years of your fitness journey and 10 years of your money journey.
Yeah.
Would you like to do that? And I don't know what I would say, but I would hope that my 25-year-old self would be like, fuck yeah, 10 years. Like if I could just bring him to like my life now and say like, look how long you struggled, how confused you were, how many different things you tried, how frustrated you were. Yeah. I can save you 10 years for like, whatever the coaching program costs, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. I would hope and I think now myself, when I like am considering like you, that next level of coaching and development, like I know that like I'm 40, about to be 41, my 50-year-old self would be like, do it. Yeah. Like you should do it. Like, because then when I'm 50, we're going to be so much farther along. And that's like a really great way to think through it, is like, what would make your future self proud? Like what would empower your future self to go even farther?
Yeah. I think that's what Fit Rich Life program is.
Yeah.
It's us going back 10 years and teaching.
Yeah.
Right. You
back to the future.
Exactly. So it's us teaching the earlier version of ourselves that we could have been in a much better position. Because, dude, how many like mistakes have we made? How many mistakes have you made? How many mistakes have I made?
Yeah.
How much does it cost
100%.
us? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we're closing down. There's just kind of like one thing I always like to share. It's just kind of part of my philosophy. And it's 3 principles to really, continuously optimize your life. And the 3 principles are: 1, you are the average of the 10 to 20 people you spend the most energy with. Now, we all live in this virtual, digital, offline, online world. So you can spend energy with people you don't even know, listen to their podcasts, watch their social media, read their books, etc. But you also spend time with people that are around you physically and the people you work with. This is one of the reasons I like and love working with Maxim, is because like I'm an average of like him and the other people in my life. So that's the first principle. The second principle is you are a product of your environment. And these are all the physical and digital environments that you want to put yourself in, or proactively or subconsciously. And the third principle is you are what you consume. This includes food, information, experiences, social media, music, movie, TV, etc. So if you want to continuously optimize your life, optimize the people that you spend energy with, like they are always calling forth your highest, best self, the next evolution of you. Optimize your environments, like making sure your environments are calling forth the next evolution, the best version of you, and optimize what you consume. So it is like literally you're putting into your mind, into your eyes, into your mouth, the things that are empowering your health, your happiness, your mindset, your growth, your fitness, etc. And if you just focus on those 3 principles, like your life will transform continuously for the better. And like an easy way to like radically up level that people portion is to invest in coaching or a mastermind or do some sort of program that forces you to be around the type of people that you want to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another big part, right? Is the community aspect, because
100%.
you're surrounded by people that are on the same boat as you, have similar values, and are also trying to build new identities to become that version of themselves.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't have that in their real life.
Yep.
So virtually is how I got it originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin, man, I am very grateful that you took some time on a Friday, because I know you don't work on Friday.
Well, for me, this is fun. So
okay, cool. So grateful that you took some time in sharing your story, your knowledge, and experience, and really hope that people connected with it. Because when you first shared these concepts with me, I was like, damn, I want that too.
Yeah.
Right. And to see that it was actually possible within my lifetime, I'll put it that way.
It's possible for anybody.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah.
And it really changed my perspective with how I manage my finances, how I manage my earning capacity, and kind of the things that I was going for to have the greater impact. So I appreciate you sharing all that. For the people that want more details about the program, all the links will be down below. All right. So there's going to be a link for the Fit Rich Life coaching program, or you can just go on Justin's Instagram and send him a quick message. Justin's always open to having a conversation with you, kind of see, where you're at, where you want to go, what would need to happen, and see if we'd be able to help you.
Yep.
So those would be the two best places.
Yep. It's at Justin David Carl. Or you can literally just search on Instagram, Justin Dragon. I'm usually the first one that pops up.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So, nickname is Dragon.
Yeah. So I'll put all the link in the show notes. Also, Justin has his podcast, which is going to go through a little rebrand. So I'll let you share that.
So depending on when you listen to this, currently the podcast is called Alchemized Life, but it is now going to be alchemized and transformed into Fit Rich Life podcast. So I'm kind of in this another life evolution where I'm just trying to get everything all aligned together, like unified under one identity that is really like sharing the message that I want to share, which is like everyone deserves to live their fit, rich life, the best version of that. And it's possible for everybody. And so, again, it'll either be Alchemized Life or Fit Rich Life, or just search Justin David Carl on all the socials or wherever you listen to podcasts, and you'll find me.
Yeah, and I'll put the link down in the show notes if the name has changed.
Yeah.
I'll put the new link down below. So everyone, thank you very much for listening to this podcast episode. As you guys can see, this show is a little bit longer than my other podcast, Fit Vegan. We went like double or triple the time, but it was awesome. A lot of great value. So thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate it 5-star, leave a review. Go check out Justin, and then we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Ciao.